The Czechoslovak Shortwave Station Praha, OLR5E, has just broadcast an address by Dr. Edvard Beneš, President of the Czechoslovak Republic. You will now hear the English translation of this speech.
I speak to you in a moment of international difficulties, the most serious since the World War, which has assailed not only the European states, but also a considerable portion of the other parts of the world. In these critical moments, I speak to you of ourselves, of our position in the midst of this disturbed world, and I speak to you all, to the Czechs and the Slovaks, to the Germans, and to the other nationalities, and among these again, to all parties, to all groups, and to all camps. I speak to you in the first place, as to people who desire peace and order, and who possess the feelings of human dignity and of goodwill. At the same time, it is not my intention today to discuss the situation and the international questions in detail. For a full 20 years, our republic has developed in peace and progress. The policy of democracy and freedom, of enrichment from the point of view of economics and civilization, of cultural advancement, religious tolerance, and social justice, has been attained step by step, without crises, without putschs and revolutions, quietly and by evolution. While dangerous movements, indeed even revolutions, have occurred elsewhere, in this country things have been settled reasonably and practically, without blind passion. We have had, and we still have, a single problem which is, and has been for centuries on our territories, a difficult problem demanding ever new forms of solution. Here, however, we have endeavored to settle this question in a progressive manner, like the other questions. I will not now enumerate the individual efforts we have made, and which, as I believe, would have continued with a healthy, progressive tempo until the solution is reached. I state the fact objectively, however, that today, the speed of European and world events from which we cannot isolate ourselves compels us to a swifter tempo on this path. This is the sense of all we are undertaking in these questions today. If we change the tempo, however, we do not abandon the spirit in which we are endeavoring to solve our great current questions in this state. It is a sincere and true endeavor to reach that degree of political equity which is permissible in daily political life and which can be put into practice. This spirit seeks to be one of true, sincere democracy. In this spirit, the government has entered upon negotiations with the representatives of the individual nationalities of our republic, and began, first of all, with the Sudeten German party as their strongest component. A plan which our constitutional factors have thus prepared applies, of course, to all the inhabitants of this state, and matters will naturally also be discussed with the other representatives of our nationalities. The questions which are being discussed and the principles by which it is intended to solve them were published today. A considerable portion of this material was already incorporated in the Nationality Statute prepared in spring. The government proposal, of course, does not have the form of a law as the proposal for the Nationality Statute had. It is presented in the form of an agreement on the principles of the new regulation, but these are elaborated more profoundly and more precisely. They are so developed as to disperse fears or mistrust that this or that matter is perhaps insufficiently guaranteed, that it is not considered sufficiently seriously, and so on. The proposal, in addition, is so formulated as to avoid uncertainty as far as possible and to prevent the rise of misunderstanding. It contains also, of course, certain portions that were not in the original plan. These also are so elaborated that what belongs to the state is given to the state, and the nationalities are to receive what belongs to them. At the same time, however, in each part of the state and local government, it guarantees the individual towards the unit, of the minority towards the majority, of liberty of conviction, nationality rights, and equitable conditions of political, cultural, and economic activities. This applies for the Czech minority as for the German, for the Slovak as for the Magyar, Racine, or Pole. The democratic traditions of this republic command us to proceed in this way. By the realization of these proposals, there is, in the first place, to be assured to all the citizens and to all the nationalities of this state the true equality of rights which emanates from our Constitution and from our democratic ideals and institutions, and in such a manner that each nationality in the Republic should have that position in the state appropriated to it according to its numerical strength. The special questions of Slovak territories will also be settled in this sense. The realization of so comprehensive a concept of justice can be permitted in their state by a people who form the two-third majority of the population of that state, a people who are healthy and sound in themselves, a people loving their states so ardently, and a people as determined, steadily, and realistically minded as our Czechoslovak people are. During the past days, hundreds and hundreds of communications have reached me from Czechs and from Germans, and also from abroad, which reassure me in this thought, even though some of them express a certain doubt whether today is a suitable moment for a solution so far-reaching, in a period when among some portions of the population there is a considerable mutual distrust and when a high degree of political passion is being unleashed. I see these doubts in the columns of many newspapers, and I hear them from many lips at the present time. I desire to make a direct reply to this. I believe that the proposed new measures will be advantageous for the further development and the future of the state. I believe that with the restoration of the collaboration of all nationalities, even in these present difficult times, nothing in any way threatens either the unity and security or the integrity of the state. Moreover, it will be in the future also a political task common to us all to see that no such threat arises. I place special emphasis on the fact that nothing will be changed in the democratic structure and policy of the state. On the contrary, should the trend of international events be favorable, this can strengthen our democracy and perfect it. We are approaching the present proposals for the ideological development of nationality questions in the whole of Europe. Our special conditions compel us to be the first to settle our nationality affairs so justly. In our state, all national cultures are very highly developed. The two most numerous nationalities especially have a high national consciousness and in the course of their history have contributed much to human culture. It is therefore obvious that for them and for the other nationalities we must go forward quickly in nationality matters as compared with other Central European nations. In this we shall not be the last. The other states will also have the same problems. If we have determined on this solution in a disturbed time, in a moment shaken by distrust, it is certain that in doing so we are making no small sacrifice for the preservation of the general peace. We make this contribution consciously, however. We desire to contribute to the settlement of European disputes in general. We desire to contribute to the creation of good collaboration with all our neighbors, especially with our largest neighbor, Germany. We desire to give Europe and America, and especially Great Britain and France, a proof that we understand our duty with regard to general collaboration and that we are performing it in the degree allowed us by our state necessities. If I, as President of the Republic, in agreement with the government, recommend this solution to you today, in spite of the great sacrifices made in so great a time, I turn to you, to all the population of the state, and I say, in all seriousness, our first concern is to restore full confidence and collaboration between the two largest nations of the Republic, and to assure order, peace, and steady development within the state. In this we shall work truly, not only for the preservation of peace in a moment of great international disturbance, not only for the preservation of peace in the world and in Europe, but also for the peace of our towns and villages, of our fields, workshops, of our families, and of all that is most dear to us. Of course, it is not only myself, in my official function, who has the duty to work for peace. It is not only the other responsible constitutional factors, not only the political personalities in the ranks of the government majority or in the opposition minority, these before all, but in addition to them, each individual fellow citizen in his place is to act so, and must act so. Each of you, as matters stand today, by goodwill, by peace, by the prevention of conflicts, incidents, and clashes, displays service for peace. A clash provoked by malice or excitement can threaten peace, not only in this country, but also in the whole of Europe. In the last point of the proposal for agreement to which the press refers today, it is expressly said, in order that, in the present serious times, peaceful development might be assured to the nationalities in the state, and the immediate introduction of these negotiations might not be disturbed, the factors participating will aim at the pacification of Czech and German public opinion, at the creation of a better atmosphere between the nationalities in the spirit of mutual understanding and collaboration on the basis of equality. No one is thereby to be prevented from exercising the right of criticism and of discussion of political events, nor of the defense of his opinions, interests, and rights. The aim is that by the moderation and gradual change of the existing struggle of the press, agitation, and propaganda, a new atmosphere should be formed, and criticism and political discussion should be carried out decently, loyally, and objectively. I therefore address my appeal to all Czechoslovaks, to all the Germans in this country, and to all the other inhabitants of this republic without distinction as to nationality. I do not speak to the politicians and to the political parties. What I have to say is obvious to them. I speak, however, to the individual citizens. I speak to all people. Never in the past has the responsibility of each one of you been greater than it is now. Be calm, be considerate, keep your nerves steady. Proceed calmly with your daily work. That is what your country requires of you in the first place. Whoever least deviates from his daily life makes the greatest contribution to the preservation of peace. Show the world that no one among us desires to take on himself the responsibility for increasing European tension today. In this spirit, I also turn to the press of all parties, tendencies, and nationalities. The merit or the guilt of the press can be greater today than the press estimates. Indeed, we are living through moments when all, without party or national difference, must come together in order that we might also preserve peace on this soil where our fathers and forefathers have dwelt for many centuries in peaceful constructive work. Are the present Czechoslovak and Sudeten German descendants of Czechoslovak and Sudeten German ancestors to destroy where they built? I am well aware that the state power of our republic has,